Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Oh, sorry. 2 minutes. 3:17. I'm also behind my own content schedule. What's going on? How do I look? How do I sound? Can you hear the music in the background? Is everything good? Hey, Rez, what's going on? So many of you. Seeing some new faces. I'm seeing some patrons. Seeing some just friends. I'm quiet compared to the music. Is the music like way too loud? Let's turn the music down. Let's turn my mic audio up. Here we go. Does that sound better? Allie, what's up? I recognize a lot of these names from the YouTube comments. So like I see all of the comments. I can't respond to all of them, but I see all of them. And a lot of, I guess, familiar faces, familiar names. It's pretty cool. Music could be even lower. You don't like Jesse's already? By the way, this playlist is almost entirely music from patrons. I added a couple of my own just to have some stuff, to extend the time of the playlist. But yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of music from guys like Sergey and Ali and Jesse and Trey. A lot of these guys you've heard featured in the videos. So really, a lot of talent in that Discord server. We share a lot of cool stuff. Mike Bullock? Is that the Mike Bullock? The one that I know? Okay, music too low. Turn it up just a little bit. Just find a little balance there. You should just like send an emoji that's like the up finger for like more music and like the down finger for less music. Yeah, sorry. So, couple of things. I'm not very good at live streaming. I don't know how to like put the chat on the screen. I don't know how to put like the music and stuff on the screen. I'll figure it out. I'm actually kind of a I'm still learning technology. Despite knowing how to do all the music stuff, video and streaming and stuff is kind of new for me. So I'm figuring that out. It'll get better over time. And oh, hey, yes. So Mike, we used to play in a band together way back in the day. He was a bass player, and we almost played again, but then COVID happened and we couldn't get together and stuff. But yeah, like my high school band. If you go all the way back to the beginning of my YouTube channel videos, like the very bottom, you'll see the old. It's called Chaos Before Creation, our old band, and I was like 17. And I put that stuff up there just because there was no place to have it. You know what I mean? Like nobody was hosting it anywhere. And then once in a while, I'll see a comment from like somebody who scrolled all the way to the bottom when they were checking out my videos. And they're like, yeah, this is sick. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you found this. All right. Yeah. So how's things? How is everybody feeling? The keyboard is blocking the door. I'm doing it for effect. I'm not doing it because it's convenient. Because I don't have a cool background. You know what I mean? Yeah. Guys, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? Hello? Can't. Wait a minute.
I can hear you.
Whoa. Hey, can you guys hear that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Congratulations, dude. You made it. 100K.
Oh my God. Guys, do you know who this voice is in the background? Can anybody hear him? Turn the music down a little bit. Yeah. Hey, Sam, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. It's a little laggy, but I can hear you.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, okay, you guys can hear this voice. Do you know who this is? This is Audiofreq. Say hi.
Hey, everybody. First off, can we get some fire in the chat for the one and only Jeff for reaching 100K, man? Huge. Absolutely huge.
I really appreciate that, dude. Sam and I have been chatting a lot just about all sorts of fun, nerdy Doom stuff. This is kind of like we were just like casually interested in it a while ago. And as you know, he makes a lot of electronic music, a lot of hardcore, hardstyle stuff. But there's a lot of overlap between doing kind of like Doom style distortion, a lot of heavy kind of guitar riffing stuff, and then the more electronic dance music side of things, because of they both take like extreme processing and kind of push it in a direction. One, of course, for big stadium, dance floor stuff, and then for me, more like casual listening on the headphones and stuff like that. But yeah, and we've been buddies ever since. Super cool that you had a little time to say hi in this chat. Very bold move. To a lot of people.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, man. I mean, like, yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like brothers in bass, fiends for distortion. It's really cool, and I've always been a person not just thinking about like, of course, the power of the Doom score and Argent Metal, but also just kind of like, what are the parallels between what you do and what I do?
Yeah.
And so it's been cool to see you grow, because I remember tuning into some of your early stuff and watching you develop your sound and grow as a musician and stuff. It's, I don't know. I feel like a detached brother kind of thing, seeing somebody graduate. So it's been really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm obviously watching you from below with starry eyes because you're a very established artist. You've been doing this for a long time, and the amount of good advice you've given me just over the last year is phenomenal. I feel like, doing stuff like what I'm doing on the internet is such a team effort. There's a lot happening behind the scenes besides these videos, and talking to you all the time and all your knowledge about like the analog. So for a little bit of context, when I started getting all of the analog gear, it's kind of over here, can't really see it. I bounced it off of Sam all the time. And he has this sick rig, and he puts everything up on modular grid. And he's been sharing some videos about the Make Noise Strega now, which is really dope. And so like, if I'm flat broke for years, almost definitely your fault. But worth it.
I'll take ownership of that. You might have to pawn that like gold play button when it comes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll bite it first, make sure it's actually real. Yeah, it's funny. I earlier today, so I checked out. Obviously, you hit 100K, and you immediately go, "Can I get that play button? Can I verify? Can I do all this stuff?" So I went on those sites, like the help pages on YouTube, and I have to wait. It's like they do like a manual review, so like I must show up in some queue, and then they like check out my channel to make sure that I'm not some sort of like fake bot that has 100,000 subscribers, and then they send me an email that's like, "Okay, you can get this play button." So I'm like sad, kind of. I'm like, like it's not real yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that'll happen eventually.
You've graduated, but they haven't given you the degree.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like I gotta wait for the actual graduation. And in a COVID world, it all happens by mail and email and digital now. So. Yeah.
Oh man, there should be a parade.
Yeah, there should be.
Somebody should rock up. Maybe when the postman gets to the door, you can greet him with your 8-string and just kind of like throw some chugs and it's like, yeah, this is what it's all about, man.
Yeah, seriously, that'd be funny. Yeah, man. I mean, they got enough money. Like Google should do that. They should hire a small team, kind of like when you go to a restaurant and they sing "Happy Birthday" to you, and they make all the waiters and waitresses come out and sing.
Exactly right.
Like
exactly right.
Like in their eyes, they're like, I don't want to be doing this every day, but like it's all about you in that moment. And you're like, thank you for gritting your teeth while you sing "Happy Birthday" to me. Yeah,
exactly, man. Exactly. But once again, congratulations. It's been really cool. Hey, I've noticed actually, because I've got you up on YouTube, I've noticed there's a spot left on your modular rack. Have you eyed out anything, like any other distortions or anything that you want to get that's going to fill that space?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's not just a space, man. there's hundreds of dollars worth of space there. I've been a big fan of the tool scar and stuff. With those, they have this like I don't know when it's going to be done. It looks like the guy who runs it, he's got the Instagram and he's been showing pictures of him like traveling around and stuff. And I'm like, I really want that ring mod, or whatever
it's available.
They put it out.
Yeah, I checked today. Actually, I checked today. I mean, maybe it's available in Europe and hasn't made the shipment hasn't made it its way over to the States. But there's a German store that stocks at Schneiderslad, and they've got the ring mod, the block on. I was sussing it out today. I was like, oh, when is it out? When is it out? Like
nice. All right, well, that's happening. Yeah, I gotta check. I've been ordering stuff from TurnLab. It seems like one of the only places that'll ship over here easily anyway. So we'll see if they've got some in stock or something. I would love that one. That's a big one. And then there was other make noise stuff. I want maybe some more filters or something. The distortion modules are cool, and I guess I could get more tube stuff, which isn't all bad. I am running out of power. It can't take too many more modules because I'm starting to hit the upper limit of the power supply.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Which
is, I think, just an issue with you've got the Bay Ringer. I don't know if you replaced it, but yeah. So I am considering things that are a little bit more quality of life. Some stuff like some cool filters and maybe some onboard effects, things like that. Stuff that I can kind of send distortion out of or into. Oh, yeah, Mario. I'm going to go broke so fast. It's going to happen. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know who just tuned in, this is Audiofreq, friend of mine. And also, you owe me a remix. I've heard you...
I do. I've been working on it. So while you're very versed in the sounds of Argent Metal, I've been kind of watching from afar. And it's really tricky to remix something that you like. Because if you already like it as it is, then how do you do it different? And make it not just put your own spin on it, but in my head, it's got to be standing on its own two legs. It's got to sound good. It can't be an inferior copy. So I've been trying to find what's the right approach. And I know we've just been talking modular stuff, but part of the reason why I got a new unit, I bought the Make Noise Ocos, was because of your remix. I mean, it really
cool.
just tipped me over the edge. I think when you start collecting gear and plugins and all that sort of stuff, you don't need a lot. You just see something that's kind of I kind of want that. And then you get a little excuse and you're like, all right, now I'm buying it. And that's exactly what happened. So I've been, trying to find the right voice, the right style, on how to approach your remix. And yes, I do. I'm working on it. I haven't forgotten.
I'm really excited to hear it, man. Yeah. And it's going to be good if you had to buy gear to actually get the sound you want. Those, honestly, as much as I don't believe in just spending money for the sake of spending money, there were quite a few remixes, especially in the early days, where I felt like I needed to purchase something just to get the sound that was in my head, because I just didn't have the tools at the time, And this was even way, way earlier. So before I was doing a lot of the Doom stuff, there was a lot of Final Fantasy remixes that I was doing. I was just experimenting kind of during the COVID lockdown and stuff, trying different genres, trying some orchestral things, trying some metal things, trying some electronic stuff. Rez is in here. Rez Foyna and I did, I think, 2 different orchestral piano arrangements. And a lot of those things involved me buying libraries and buying new strings and getting the right piano tones and getting... maybe getting, I would get kick 2 for the electronic things, just kind of just building up the tool set. And then what I'm finding is there comes a point when there is just diminishing returns where you can get I can make 99.9% of the stuff that I need now with all of these tools. I mean, it all added up. I feel like I could have saved for a nice big life decision purchase kind of thing, I'd do I get orchestral tools, Berlin strings, or do I put a down payment on a house? You know what I mean? So but I chose the first one. But then I don't really have to go back and buy those again. And now it frees me up to do a lot of stuff. Now I don't feel super limited. You hit that, but now, I mean, new stuff comes out every day and it's fun to try. But now I'm very picky about like what I think comes next. I don't think there's always something new. There's always a cool new piece of gear, or like something that does something slightly different than another competitor, you know, and people are like iterating on existing stuff. But there does come a point when you just have like Sam, I'm sure you're in this boat where like if somebody broke into your bank account and took all your money and you had to make 10 songs in a row without buying a single piece of gear, I bet you could do it and they would kick ass.
Oh,
like there's no way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's actually a good lesson for your viewers and your subscribers, right? Like there is a point where like having more gear doesn't necessarily mean that you write better music. There's obviously a starting point where like you've got 0 synths, or you've got 0 orchestral libraries, or whatever it is, and then each one is going to be like, oh, I can do this now, and oh, I can do that now.
Yeah.
But definitely like within a couple of years of you testing tools and buying equipment and all that sort of stuff, you'll find first off what works for you, and second off that like you don't need to have everything to make cool stuff. That's something that I've been listening to some stuff from like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, right? Yeah. And if you listen to their scores, that what they did for like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and with Gone Girl, a lot of the stuff that's like a lot of the actual soundscape isn't very complicated. So that I feel like they could have gotten away with having a really, really minimal setup and not having a lot of like exclusive tools. Now they're lucky that they're in the position that they can have access to a lot of stuff, but I feel like they still would have got the same results. So that's a good lesson for your viewers of like, you don't need the best of the best and you don't need everything. Yeah. But there is a certain point, like, especially when you're starting out, that like having something good will benefit you. Like, I feel like, there's a huge difference in quality, right, between like some free plugins for like guitar amp sims or whatever, and then going up to like Neural DSP. Like the quality of the IRs that come out of like the, like, say for instance the Archetype Nolly or whatever, are fantastic, and as opposed to like a free cab sim. Now, not to say that the free ones aren't bad, right? There is a step up in quality, but still, you know, you don't always need it. And like there is definitely a point where you're like, you don't necessarily need to have the whole Neural DSP collection to be able to write sick guitar riffs.
Yeah, totally. Right, seriously. It's funny, I've never actually used a Neural DSP thing, and they're super popular. I bet actually a bunch of you in the chat have used like the new, you know, there's that Gojira one, there's the Petrucci one, Tim Henson, supposedly really cool, and they do a lot of really, really cool stuff, and they sound great right out the gate. I do wonder though, do you know anybody that's used, oh hey, it's Zach Houston and Alex Rowe, two composers. Alex Rowe did the some of the Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Elden Ring inspired stuff.
Dope. Shout out.
Yeah, exactly. I love his work. It's really sick. I wonder, have you heard anybody who's like made some really Doom inspired Argent metal type stuff with the neural tools? It's funny, like I just haven't really talked to anybody who's like brought that up. Not that it hasn't happened. It's more just like I personally haven't run into too many people.
No, I haven't come across it, but my circles have been like, I think you're my anchor into the Doom world, that and David. So I don't really know so much. Like I think you're the only person I know that is familiar with the Neural DSP stuff, because all the other producers I know are more about like super saws and like orchestral stuff and all that sort of thing, or different types of songwriting. So my circle is completely different to yours. But they're really good. Like I'm not a guitar player by any stretch of the imagination. I can barely get through a pentatonic scale without fluffing it up. But to my ears, they sound fantastic, and they're cool. At least the Archetype Nolly is really cool. I found it was super flexible, and I actually want to use that and the Helix, Line 6 Helix native.
Oh yeah,
on the remix. Yeah, both of those are pretty cool.
Dude, you're gonna play some guitar for the remix?
Well, I'm just gonna run stuff through it. I don't know if I can play guitar, because obviously there's guitar parts in the remix, and this is the tricky thing to think about this remix, right? Like, how do I change something that I already like? Going back to what I was saying beforehand, I think conceptually where you've leaned into like the more organic side of things, and there's a lot of like, there's the drums, there's the cool guitar riff and that little pause with that thing in there. What I thought might be a cool spin on it, if we think about the concept of what this is, what the song is and how it fits in the big narrative that you wrote for yourself, is to go more to the machiney side of things. And so I've started transcribing some of the guitar parts and using synths and layering them instead, and pushing the guitars a little bit further back in the mix and having the synths further in the mix. And then what I'll do is like, run them through amps and stuff like that. So they sound kind of guitar-y, but they're more synthy and more robotic, because like the whole concept was like these cyborgs, right?
And so for context, we're talking about Providence, the first original I put out before Maker's Hand. Sam is working on a reimagining of that track. So so cyborg and guitar type stuff you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking leaning more towards like machiney kind of sound. So more of like a dance beat, but at the same tempo. So like think Rez, think what's his name, 1178 or whatever it is. That kind of mid-tempo kind of vibe. And then having synths sound like their guitars, but not being like still having the guitars in there, but pulling them further back and letting the cyborg part come through in the remix and going that way. But there's a lot of layers, man. I was going through it and I'm like, wow, you've got all these like cool little effects and stabs and all these like weird machiney drones and stuff in the stems. They're really cool.
How many was it? Like it was like 70 or 80 or something like that. Yeah. Dude, those projects get so big. Currently I'm working on I'm finishing up a song now. It's funny, like timing wise, I just put out Slayer's Paradise, that Gangster's Paradise cover, and which by the way, you guys, it's number one out of all the videos in terms of like growth per 24 hours. It's like far surpassed even like the Dark Souls thing. Like you guys are nuts. Just absolute, the power of memes like shining through. And I just put that out, but soon, probably like around the end of this week, putting out an actual full-length video and wrapping up that song. It just needs a little more work. It's like some of the patrons have already heard it, and it's not super satisfying at the moment, where I got to go back and kind of rejigger some stuff. But in that project, I have already maxed out my CPU. Like I'll press play and it'll be like, and then it'll go. And I'm like, oh God. And you know what it is? It's, I did a lot of fancy parallel processing with guitar amps. And what I'm doing is I'm sampling some like Nordic instruments to try to create this like cool textured hybrid guitar sound. And, as soon as I froze and flattened those layers, my CPU went from like 200% to 80%. And I was like, that's what it was. It's like really, really not efficient. I know you're not an Ableton guy. And I wonder, like, Ableton is notorious for being not efficient sometimes. And this is definitely showing, because there's not a lot of layers. Like I'm like sub 60 audio tracks or something like that. But I mean, if you stretch out all of the parallel processing, it's probably like, I don't know, it's got to be at least 150 or something like that. And it's just like, it's crippling my computer. It's so bad. I have a high-end gaming PC, and this thing is like, Ableton is like bringing it to its knees. It's like running Crysis twice,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How like, because this is the thing, like different DAWs handle different cores and that sort of stuff like differently. So Pro Tools is not so good when it comes to I think multiple cores. I think Cubase is okay. Logic does pretty well as far as I understand it. And but yeah, have you ever like sat down and like tried to recreate like your project, maybe just bouncing out all the stuff and then just having the same or a couple of the same plugins and stuff on and the same kind of projects in different DAWs to see which one's more efficient?
Yeah, I've started to test efficiency.
To see which one's better on the CPU.
Oh, I haven't actually done that. That would be a good, like there was a call. There was a call that I had with a couple of patrons, with Trey and a few of the other guys, who I'll put their music back on in a bit. and we tested. I think it was like what happens if you stack 100 instances of sampler on top of each other in an Ableton rack. It didn't max out CPU at all. It was like everything was like a clean, like 1% increase. It was very linear. It was weird. But there was no like multiplication. Like, you know, we didn't stack 100 and then like put another rack after it and then stack those. So it's like 100 times 2. You know what I mean? We didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It's like inefficient-ish, but like you have to really do some, I guess, stupid stuff to like get it to really fall apart. And it was everything was Ableton native, so it wasn't like, you know, I wasn't using any like outside plugins. I wasn't doing like 50 guitar amps or anything like that. Or that's not what we did.
Yeah, that's pretty lean.
Yeah,
that's pretty lean. I started putting together like an orchestral template, sort of inspired by yourself, and then some of the stuff that I've been watching on YouTube from Junkie XL. And I think I don't know, those libraries chew up shitloads of RAM, bro. And I don't know how many contact instances I had, but like it was something monstrous. And then my CPU started going like, yeah, I'm not having a good time right now. It's something like 80 or 90 contacts, and I was just like, oh man, this is not good. How am I supposed to write music like this?
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, you're so tell us a little story. Like you and a couple of your buddies in the hardcore space, you all kind of live near each other, and you all have these 6 studios. So kind of, what was the journey like? Like sometimes I see some pictures that you post, and I'm like, this guy's made it. He's got it all. He doesn't make music in a little box like I do. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's really an interesting question, and we might lose a few viewers, but I think it's worth speaking about, because I think the musical journey is interesting no matter the genre, right? Yeah. So where your music is very focused on the internet response, it's not so much focused on dance floor stuff, and it's for people to listen to at home on their phones, in their cars, or while they're working, all that sort of stuff. The type of music that me and my friends make isn't so much for that. Yes, there are plenty of fans that will listen to it, but it's mainly designed for like the club and festival experience. So because of that, we kind of like, production of music is a bit of a loss leader. And we DJ out, and that's where we get our wages from. But that's kind of how the wheel turns, right? Like we make music to get booked to play at these big festivals. The big festivals pay us money, and then to keep on doing the big festivals, we need to make music. And so it's a bit of a different thing, and we're kind of like, I guess, standing on the shoulders of the people that came before us, the other DJs and the other producers that came before us. But because of the DJ fees that we get for playing to 5, 10, 15,000 people almost every weekend kind of thing, that gives us the flexibility to afford nice stuff and to build up studios. Now, the thing is, like, when it comes to mixing for festivals and for dance floors, you need to be very, very particular of what happens in your low end. So as much as we love Mick Gordon's music, when it comes to the low end in his soundtracks, they're a little bit woofy. They're not as punchy as your dubstep mixes. Like, they're really, really precise. Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that the styles are different because the requirements are different. And I'm not saying that Mick doesn't mix down well. It's more of a case of like the tightness that's in electronic music is different to what's in the work that he's done. So because of that requirement of having to have really, really tight stuff, at least in my world, you know, by having these DJ fees, we're kind of like, all right, we've got to spend our money to make our stuff sound better. So invested in the studios and everything. So I went to, a couple of years ago, I went to the Showtech studios, which is probably 2 hours south of me. I'm in Rotterdam, and they're down in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. And their studios took, I think, 2 to 3 years to build. And just the shell itself, the box itself, was something in the order of like 100,000 euros.
Holy moly.
And right? And I'm just like, damn, man, like that's crazy. But the thing is, they, you know, have the DJ fees to match and can warrant spending that kind of money. So it's a little bit wild, right? But the function of the music is different. And so because of that, you know, the requirements of having those rooms are kind of different. And they're not the only ones. There's quite a few of my colleagues that have pretty high-end studios, maybe not as high as that, but have invested, you know, tens of thousands to have like really tight sounding rooms, incredible low end response. Like the RT60 is just ridiculous, and like really like dry but diffused and nice and everything. It's really strange. And you wouldn't think that for like, and we were saying this earlier, like you wouldn't think that for music that is played for people to take drugs.
Right. You wouldn't. Yeah, you're like, what? Why are we making it so precise?
Yeah. But at the same time, for it to sound good on like a huge system,
right,
it needs to be precise. Like the moment that things sort of, like the classic is having your bass in mono, right?
Yeah.
Like if you've got a like a huge set of arrays, right, and the sub usually gets summed down to mono.
Yeah.
If it's in stereo and starts phasing and you start losing like your low end response, then people are not going to dance. It's not going to sound good.
Right.
And
right.
So you kind of need to be very mindful of these kinds of things. That's not to say that like you need it, right? Just like with a bunch of things, if you're kind of a little bit clever about it and you're kind of precise with your EQing, you've got your spectrum analyzer and just monitoring what's happening in other music and mix your tracks to that and take note of what should be where and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You can get by. But having a good room helps a lot. And these guys have the DJ fees and the budget to be able to match that sort of stuff. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it really is. I am curious. So, hey, chat, for any of you who maybe just joined, this is Audiofreq on the other end. I don't have a picture. I'm still new at streaming things. But yeah, we've been talking nerd stuff, talking shop, talking about studios and things like that. I am really curious, and this is something that I was talking in Discord earlier about. And also, thank you, everybody, for the nice things about reaching 100K. It's crazy. I'm still a little bit in shock. It's not real yet until I get to bite that play button, but not for a while. I'm not eligible technically yet, so we'll see. I am curious, what do all of you listen to music on mostly? Things like, do you have like studio speakers like I do? Do you have audiophile headphones? Do you just listen on Apple EarPods or like, you know, $10 speakers that you bring to the gym? Like, what do you listen on? I make music for like very consumer, like, you know, I'm wearing these Bose headphones. Like, I'll test it in these, and maybe, you know, Sam is testing on a big PA system to see if that would sound good because of those things. But I don't really know how you listen to the music. So, what do you listen on? And do you think it sounds good? That's the important question.
I think the phone check is really important. That's a good one.
The phone check? What's that?
Yeah. So like, because phones have a limited bandwidth, they can't reproduce the bass frequencies and stuff.
Oh, you mean like your actual speaker on your phone?
Yeah, the actual speaker on the phone. See how that sounds. That's always a nice check.
Yeah.
Like as a reference. And often like I find when I'm like brushing my teeth or whatever, I'll chuck on some music and just listen to it on the phone speaker. I mean, if you're wearing headphones when you're in the bathroom and you're brushing your teeth and you're like jamming out, that's maybe taking it a step too far.
Yeah. Yeah. I do the phone check all the time. I've actually gotten to the point, my old phone, the speaker started to crackle because I would play stuff at max out of my iPhone. And there came a point when it started, I thought like my kick drum was always too loud in all my songs. Like you know that sound when the kick drum is like just a little too loud and goes like boom, like that.
Yeah, this weird like low buzz woof thing that comes out of the
and it's like overly saturated, and then you get all these like, whatever. And so my phone like one day just started doing that, and I thought that I was mixing my kick drums too loud. Like I couldn't really hear it in the headphones, but then I put it on the phone, and I'm like, okay, all I can hear is this like weird woofing sound from the kick. But then I realized when I started listening to other music that I had just blown out the speaker in my iPhone.
Oh, no.
It's just like music was too powerful. And you know what it probably was? Honestly, I was probably listening to your music. Like I bet like a couple of those tracks, dude, just absolutely just cracked the cone. You know what I mean? Think about that.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do make my pictures too loud.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's what was it? Who was it? Dan Worrell was talking about with DJs they mix so loud that it like destroys the PA systems in the big performance venues and stuff. I'm like just the PA system. I'm like, nah, it breaks every speaker. Yeah, that's how I got all that headphone crackle. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
I've seen some people in the chat. There are a lot of headphones coming up.
There are a lot. Yeah, a lot more headphones than I expected. It's so interesting. Like, I make music into a void. Like, I'm taking a lot of guesses, but like I don't know this stuff unless I actually ask. If every single one of you is like, oh yeah, no, like I listen only in my car, my next song would sound super different. Like, I don't think, I think I would make some changes. I'd turn the bass down first of all, because y'all always.
Yeah.
Everyone,
No, dude.
No, just for balance. Like.
Yeah.
I have this memory, man.
Thing, right?
I have this memory of listening to a Milli, like that Lil Wayne song, back when I was like 16, and my friend had like a bass boosted system in his car, and that was so funny because it like the song was like a milli, and then the bass would go, and then I heard nothing but bass. Like this literally couldn't hear any high end, couldn't hear his voice, nothing. I was like, this is good. Do you like this? Like, I could just shake you if that's what you want. Like, it sounds like you don't actually want to hear the music at all, dude.
Right. You know? I've never understood that when people tune their cars like that.
Yeah.
That is overwhelming.
I don't know.
And you just hear the license plate rattling and stuff. But come on, man. Yeah,
that's kind of sick. That's added high end. Get that rattle.
Okay,
back.
There you go.
Yeah, good for texture. Yeah, this is very strongly a producer opinion for sure. We're like, no, whole spectrum. Like, I go in and I like EQ the system in my car. When I had a car, I don't have a car anymore, but every single time I would like go into the 3-band EQ and immediately change it as soon as I would get into somebody's car or get into my own car to perfectly balance the song. And I'm like, nobody does this. Like,
did you ever have the temptation to get one of those 32-band EQs and put it under a seat so you can like tune it even more?
No, I didn't even know that was a thing for a car.
I mean, like, not that you get one for a car, but like, buy one of the ones that's like normally for like a live rig, and then run the car through like the amp through that and then to the speakers so you can tune it even more. I had those thoughts a few times and I'm like, maybe Sam, you're taking a little bit too far. Maybe just let it be. Like
a custom rig. I think about exactly. Like that's like I would only practice singing. I can't really sing, so you can see how this turned out, but I would only practice singing in a car because it was the only time I felt like I could like bring my voice up loud enough that it wouldn't be annoying or embarrassing. And some people bring like their full microphone recording rig into their car. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that's if that's the only time you can do it, then you might as well like get on the highway and record, you know.
All about the vibe, dude. Totally. About the vibe.
Yeah. Man, that would sound weird. I bet that would, like, you know, that's actually something I use East-West spaces too a lot. It's like the convolution reverb. And it models like the reverb in real spaces. And one I noticed is missing is inside of a car. So maybe I could. I don't know how to make my own IRs, but that would be interesting. I could climb into the back of a U-Haul, like rent all the U-Hauls of different sizes, get in the back and just like yell,
release and
record it. That'd be fun. This is what we do all day long. Like I don't know who follows Audiofreq on Instagram or anything like that, but he's got a contact microphone, and I'll let you explain what these are in a sec. Contact microphone and an electromagnetic wave microphone. Yeah, but you've become like a weird found sounds explorer all of a sudden with your Zoom and stuff like that.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, it was, again, inspired by a lot of the Doom stuff, right? Like looking for different textures and looking for things to put into the music.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like COVID makes you do really weird things and think about things in a different way because you just got all the time to think, right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, because of COVID, I hadn't traveled back to my home country in Australia for like 2 years. I thought, what would be a good father-son project? Okay, we can't go out and throw like a ball. We can't, play football or whatever. He's a little too old for that. But maybe, because I haven't seen him for 2 years, maybe if we work on something together that like combines his experience and then my interests, we can do something cool.
Yeah.
And I can't solder to save my life. When I was much younger, I grabbed the soldering iron from the wrong end and just kept on doing that for whatever reason. But my dad used to work in telecommunications, and so soldering was his bread and butter. He'd do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I thought, maybe if we build like a contact mic out of a like a piezomagnetic transducer, and like just attach a jack to it. We can make something cool, and that's our little father-son bonding time.
Yeah.
And we did it. It works kind of cool, actually. I used it quite a bit, and it sounds really, really interesting. And we did it pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's so fun.
You know, incorporating that into like those really weird sounds into my music by way of like maybe pitch shifting it, or you know, throwing it through gigantic reverbs, all that sort of stuff. I think it's cool, and it's part of the. Eventually, people, you know, get bored of using the same presets and use sounds all the time, and that's kind of where I'm at, right? Like, I've kind of heard it all before, and all right, how do we bring something new? How do we make it exciting? What are the little bits and pieces to do in the studio to keep that energy level, that childlike fun and attitude back into making music before it turns into like a very procedural, hey, I'm at a job kind of thing. And that's what it did. And same thing with the electromagnetic microphone. I think I saw it on YouTube, and I was like, this is cool, man. Like, there's all these different sounds that we don't really recognize. These would be cool to use as backgrounds and stuff for some of the stuff that I do. So I went and got it. But yeah, like, it's a fun thing to do, I think, to look for those little bits and pieces that keep you excited making music. I think when you first start out, everything is exciting, and through the years, stuff just becomes like routine. Oh, I need to do this project. I know exactly how to do it. Or, you know, I'm sure you have the same thing with guitars, right? Like you're lusting after a new guitar, and when you get a new guitar, like you feel really inspired to try different things, or you end up like practicing for hours and hours and hours just because you got a new guitar. Well, it's the same thing for me in just like random little tools.
Right.
Do you have anything on your to purchase list?
Oh, besides new
modules like guitars and stuff, is there another thing that you've been eyeing out?
Well, I'm actually, and I definitely also, if any of you guys in the chat are guitar players, would love to see.
I've been seeing them through, man. There's so many people are asking about your favorite guitar.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we're here now. We're gonna talk about that. So one of the big things, I play it's actually right here, the Legator Ninja 8, and the thing about the pickups is that they're still stock, and I am probably going to swap these out because they sound okay, and I can make them sound decent when, you know, I do a bunch of processing. But there's sometimes, especially when I'm playing my other guitars, I have an LTD with ESPs, it's my 7-string. EMGs. And then I have a 6-string, a Chapman that has the... Sorry, I got an alarm on. I have a Chapman that has DiMarzio Titan pickups, and the EMGs and the Titans are just so crisp, and they have, like, I guess more, they're like hotter pickups for some reason, and they sound so much better. And these guys are a little flat, the Legator pickups. They're okay. But I think that's the big purchase. I need to pick up some 8-string pickups. Maybe, I mean, if I could find 8-string DiMarzio Titans, that would be sick. It's like the Periphery, the Jake Bowen.
Oh, is that what that sound is? Oh, okay. Have you ever considered the Fishman Fluence Moderns?
I have, and they're everywhere. Those and Bare Knuckle are everywhere. The question is whether or not it's going to work for 8. Like, I think for 6 and 7, they sound sick, but it's just that low string, you know, like, what do I need for that? And I've heard, you know, the stuff that, like, Tosin Abasi's using, because I was talking to somebody recently, and if they're here, they're going to have to refresh my memory, but they were talking about how the 8-string pickups on a Tosin build is a little bit weird because it's sort of meant to sound like in this medium distortion range for like the thumping and a lot of the cool techniques that he's doing that are, you know, kind of like lower gain. And once you start cranking that up to high gain, it just kind of gets muddy and weird. So, you know, I want to get something that I feel like is a little more, almost like doesn't have a lot of bass. You know what I mean? When you get like overly bassy, that's when the things start to get muddy and you lose all of the nice definition. It doesn't sound like you're smashing big distorted like telephone cables anymore. You know, it just kind of sounds like mud. You know, you don't get the nice. There's something like heavy metal guitar in general is weird because the lower you go, surprisingly, you just like keep the amount of bass the same. Like the tone changes, but you know,
Yep.
I don't find myself like the guitar is not bassier necessarily. I don't really want it to be.
No.
You know, I just want the tone and like the overtones of that super low string, but you know, I'm still cutting it at 100 hertz, like just like everything else. So yeah, I think that's probably, if I have to do anything, that's going to be the best return on investment in terms of guitar stuff for sure. And I've got a bunch of different amps. I've got, you know, I'm a bias effects guy, which is, I'm totally getting my money's worth on that. I got the G cabs, Zilla and Cali Oversized, and both of those are amazing.
Yeah.
And then I gave Audio Modern Rhino a try for my most recent cover. I'm on the fence about that one, especially with an 8-string. It's probably not made as well for an 8-string. I just had trouble getting like a tone that felt like it had a nice balance of being like low, but then also you could hear the pick and you could hear like the shimmer of the high end. Like it just didn't, I couldn't get both at the same time, no matter what I tried. So, you know, I can fake it. Like I put like 12 EQs on that thing. Like I can make it work. It's just not ideal. It's a lot of processing to fix something that otherwise should have kind of just sounded good to begin with. But you know, it is what it is.
Can I pick your brain about something? Because I'm not a guitarist, and in hearing the way that you speak about tone, particularly in the context of high gain, like I've got a couple of questions and I want to see what it's like. So the way that I feel that we distort bass drums probably has the same end goal as the same with guitars. Like if you're just smashing loads of distortions and you're not taking care of that low end, you just get like flabby, woofy nonsense, and you don't get like the cool crunch that you want out of a kick drum. And from the description that you've given already, I'm guessing that the goal is kind of the same, but maybe the techniques are different because we don't have to deal with amps and cabs and all that sort of stuff. We usually just use like EQ and probably a clipping style distortion or asymmetrical clipping, and that's about it. We don't have to worry about like the cab sound, right? We just gain. But I've always wondered with a guitar, especially when you were just mentioning that like the low string on some 8-string pickups can sound a little bit too bassy, especially the Tosin ones. Why couldn't you use something like a tilt EQ?
I totally can.
So like a tilt EQ before the distortion to reduce the lows and then push up some of the like the mid-range and high. And if it's like a wide enough tilt kind of thing, so I'm talking maybe 6 or maybe even 3 dB per octave, so really, really wide.
Totally.
You can get more of the bites. But I don't know if that's like a done thing in the guitar world.
No, not at all. I mean, if you're familiar with the that multi-band EQ, like it's like 12-band or something. You know, the one that has like, it's like the, is it Boss that does that one? I can't remember, but it's like,
like the pedal?
Yeah, the pedal, and it's like it's got like the different kind of like levers, the sliders, and it's like 10 or 12 of them.
Before,
that's totally normal, right? You just put that any part in the chain and you EQ. So that people are already doing that. So you know, in the digital world, I could just do it in like, you know, I'll slap an EQ plugin in there and do the exact same thing. It's totally fine. What's weird though is like there's stuff happening in terms of like you can only fix the tone to a certain point. Like for example, if you take a microphone, like if I take this microphone that I'm talking into and I put my hand over it, and it kind of sounds like I'm talking like this all the time, you can't bring back the crispness of the fact that my hand is not in front of my face, you know, like it just is recorded like that. And I think that's the one challenge I have with something like guitar pickups, and also with like performance in general. So like if I'm just playing a certain way, you have to play a certain way and you have to have the right gear. Like basically like the strings have to be not super dead, you know, maybe new strings is nice. Get a pickup that's like hot enough, that's close enough to the strings that it gets all of the tone. You know, the further away, the less like actual energy it can pick up, and the closer it is, the more energy, but then also you start to lose definition as it's like there's too much vibration that is picking up. And so you got to find the nice balance of all those things. And then that's like that's what you have to work with, you know, as the DI signal.
Yeah.
So that's mostly what I'm thinking about is like, can this guitar with its current setup deliver like a totally dry and clean guitar sound that has all of the things that I would need to be able to like distort it and make it sound good, you know, in a traditional metal sense. And, you know, when it comes to the 8-string, I think I'd give it like a 8 out of 10. It's, you know, there's some things I would improve on it. And then with my other guitars, like my 6 and my 7 strings, 10 out of 10, easy. You know, because they just have different setups, different, you know, the especially the pickups. Both of those DiMarzio and the EMGs they're just hot, and they're really, really tight pickups. They're sick. The EMGs are active too, which is those are fun. I don't know. You have a Solar, right? Are those passive or active?
Yeah, so I've got I've got a Solar A1.6 baritone, the ATG edition, the Out the Gates edition, and that's an active pickup.
Yeah, sick.
And I do have like an 8-string. It's not a very good one. It's like, but I put some Tosin Abasis like in there as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not a guitarist by any stretch of the imagination. I just like fluff around and try some stuff and see if I can edit the shit out of it so I can put it into to something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
But they do sound pretty good. I have to admit. just to my ears, my very inexperienced ears, the upgrade from the passives that I had in the 8-string and put the Tosin ones in there, I was like, this is pretty mad. Like, I dig it.
I have to apologize to the chat because while taking this Discord call, I realized that Discord automatically stops the music on Spotify, and every time I start it, it stops automatically again. So I have to choose between Sam and music, so I apologize for that. But I like Sam better.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome. Also,
you earned that 100K.
Yeah, right. It's just it was all compliments. That's how I got here. I also want to say, first of all, I am keeping tabs on what's happening, and there's a guy in the chat right now named Krister Wiebert. I may or may not have pronounced that correctly, but he's a fantastic producer, and I featured some of his work. You should say nice things to him and check out his stuff. And what else did I want to say? Yeah. Oh, so let's talk about heavy metal for a second. I know you have been listening to New Meshuggah at the gym.
Yes.
Which sounds pretty good. What else have you been listening to? You got a gym playlist of heavy metal stuff?
I don't have a playlist per se. I just sort of grab an album of something that pops up in my recommendations and just kind of listen to it. And so this morning I was listening to, it was something, it's the way that I listen to metal is not necessarily like the same way that a lot of people listen to it. So I don't hear the vocals whatsoever. And I try and find stuff that is very syncopated, I guess, so kind of genty. And what I was listening to this morning was, it was mixed by Will Putney. It was the latest one.
I don't remember. It's tip of my tongue though.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'll pull it up. But I've been listening to that, and I've been listening to Thy Art Is Murder and stuff because Will Putney's got a very Fit for an Autopsy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I've been listening to that album, and that's really cool. The drum sound is really cool, and I guess that's what I listen to first when it comes to metal, right?
Yeah.
So I come from the dance world, and my background is Latin. So when it comes to rhythm and stuff, that's really just in my blood and in my bones.
Yeah.
And a cool guitar tone comes second to me, just because this is just my experience.
Yeah.
And so when I heard the drums that Will Putney has been mixing, I've been like, whoa, these are really cool. They're very aggressive, almost machine-like.
Yeah.
Which for me is totally fine. For some people, that's like not on. But again, I'm an electronic producer, so that's totally cool. And listening to that Fit for an Autopsy was really cool. And Thy Art Is Murder, I think, are really cool. And shout out to them because they're Australian. And,
Hell yeah!
Incredible music. And what I found since diving into the world of metal, which has been a very recent journey for me, and it's come literally via Doom, is the stuff that is very rhythmic and that has interesting sort of pauses, and it's kind of genty, I guess, and syncopated, and lots of different little segments and stuff. Is the stuff that gets me going more than like your traditional sort of I'm gonna do stuff on like 2 kicks, 1 snare kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's very fast is not my kind of my flavor. But I usually find that I gravitate more towards the stuff that is mixed very punchy. And yeah, so when I see people talking about the guitar tones on a record, I'm like, I guess it's cool, but the drum tone, that's what I'm about.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So,
So, yeah.
underrated, but the most important is the drums. That's like the one,
Oh, dude.
that's the major takeaway right there. For all of you making doomy heavy metal, it's all about the drums. Guitar tone is great,
Absolutely.
but it's the drums are the most important part.
Totally. And
Yeah.
and I'd go a step further and say it's about the snare.
This is
really
true.
about the snares.
Yeah, this is a Mick Gordon quote right there.
Is it?
Yeah, he had mentioned talking about how the snare is, I think specifically talking about BFG Division.
Oh yeah,
and
that's right. He
how-
made the arrangement so that it fits.
It's
That
like a
the
gap,
chunks
yeah.
would be in there, and then there'd be room for the snare. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. It totally is. Yeah, getting that snare right. It just carries that whole tune. Kick is also important. But and this is very similar to, I mean, electronic in general, which is actually funny because in hardstyle hardstyle and hardcore, not a lot of snare. It's mostly just kick over and over again.
That's right. Yeah, it's more of like the roots of the music come from techno, so there's not a lot of room for a snare. But if you listen to your drum and bass, your dubstep, all that sort of stuff, which I absolutely love, it is all about the snare. But think of it like this, right? Like if you're playing Doom and you're trying to get into the killing spree and just go crazy, and you kind of bopping your head. What do you bop your head to?
Right.
Bop your head to the 2 and the 4, and that's where the snare lives. So having a good snare tone, something that cuts through the mix, that's the right level of punch, but not completely killing you, automatically makes your body sort of just bop. And so that's why I think, the snare is super important. And if it's, not tuned too high, not too ringy, all that sort of stuff, I love it. And that's, again, like what I really, really enjoy about tightly mixed metal is that, like, it smacks you in the face, but not too hard.
Oh yeah.
With the right snare. And
Right.
it just gets you moving, which I love.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's good gym music, which has been your
There you go.
I'm surprised at that you go with heavy metal, but it kind of makes sense though, right? Because you gotta lift like 300 pounds for your deadlifts. And
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, before Doom, I was not into the music at all. Like, I don't know what it was. When I was growing up, like the moment that I hear a distorted guitar coming on the radio, I'd like leave the room. I'd be that guy.
yeah.
And most of my colleagues are also very similar minded. I know that the fans for hardstyle and hardcore, it's changing a little bit, but the same thing. The moment that they hear a distorted guitar, they're like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
So, I grew up in that way. I grew up listening to trance and all this other stuff. So I was never really into it. And then somehow a flick switched. And then instead of just going like, all right, let's listen to Kiss, let's listen to Iron Maiden, let's listen to Led Zeppelin. It's like, no, full bore, straight into it. Let's go Meshuggah. Let's go Fit for an Autopsy. Die Art is Murder. Let's go all the way balls deep into the craziness. It's such a weird switch, but
yeah.
I because of the intensity of the music, and that's the thing that I love about it. It's super intense. So yeah, like you said, when you're in the gym 6:30 in the morning, like you're not going to be listening to Ariana Grande, man. That's not your way.
Right. Can you imagine? That'd be wild. Yeah.
You could try,
early bird, dude.
Yeah.
6:30 in the morning.
Dude, here's the thing. Like, it's changed my life. So before COVID, I was not into my waking up early at all. I'd be like, oh, the body's got a natural rhythm. I'm just going to follow the natural rhythm, and then go to the studio, and I'm going to be fresh when I get to the studio, and I'm going to be productive. And the time that I go to bed is the time that I'm tired, and I'm not going to worry about anything. I'm just going to follow the rhythm. Don't be too disciplined. It doesn't matter, whatever.
Yeah.
Then 2 things changed. First off, I have a lovely girlfriend who's quite fit and hits the gym. So I'm not going by myself. That's number 1. And then number 2 is when I came back from Australia, I had this crazy jet lag that I was just waking up early anyway. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to stay awake and just scratch my balls at home. She's going to the gym. I'm looking like a fat slob. She's looking fantastic. I got to train, otherwise I'm going to lose her. So, what's it called? when all that guilt set in, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. She gets up, I get up, we go together, we train together. And then I've already got my blood pumping, so I get to the studio nice and early. and ready to take on the day.
Yeah, this is true. That's something I like to do too. Although not at 6:30 in the morning, but get up, get your blood pumping, just move around a little bit, and then prepare your body to sit in front of a computer for hours at a time. It's a big trade-off. Yeah. So a little fun story. I'm gonna turn back to the chat for a sec. So I am reading as I see them. I'm ready to. I do want to address a couple of good questions here. But I do want to say, like, for those of you who don't know, I was a software engineer before I was able to start doing this full time. So I was kind of already acclimated to the world of like sitting in an office on a computer and then just, doing hours and hours of like, turning small knobs, but in kind of like a coding way. And what's really funny is when I was being a software engineer, I always thought to myself, look, if I get into music, it's going to be really nice to not have to be constantly in front of a computer all day long, like just, butt in seat for hours at a time. And now that I'm doing this and making content for YouTube, I am in this seat more than I have ever been in my entire life. Like, between working on a song and like having like that, what's it called? Imposter syndrome and wanting to like make things like sound twice as good as they are because I'm not super sure if it's like gonna go over well. And then, then having to do the video and then I do a bunch of research and do whatever. I'm like, my butt is unsavable. Like, I need to do like squats every single day for like 5 years. Yeah. Just to get any of that back. Like I'm like in the shape of a chair now. It's pretty wild. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, exercise. It's more, if you have dreams of being a producer, of doing music full time, of doing any sort of content stuff that especially involves a computer, exercise is your best friend. You're going to need it. And days when I skip it, I feel it because I'm like, there'll be days. There was a couple of days when I was, I think I had just finished a video and I was like really grueling couple of days. I tend to like do really long days, like right before the video is out, a couple of like 12-hour days, just because like the video takes a long time and I'm patching up the song and I still want to hit a deadline because I want to make sure I get enough music out every month. And I remember I had to carry a bunch of stuff up. I live on a 3rd floor and I had to carry some stuff up the stairs. And then I did some house chores. Like after the video went out, I had a free day. And the next day, my lower back hurt so bad that I couldn't stand up straight. I was like, I haven't used my lower back in 3 days. And then I used it like a normal person, just doing normal stuff for 1 day. And my body was like, nope, we're not doing that. And I was like, okay, this is how I knew. I was like, I need to like make sure that I find a better balance, stand up more often, do stuff like that. Like, it can catch up to you quick. You just don't realize it. And then you're like, how many days went by before I like did any actual things with my muscles? It's weird.
That was my next question, right?
Yeah.
So have you had sessions or weeks, like days or weeks where you're kind of like been in the same clothes for like 3 or 4 days and not gone outside? Have you hit that level of grind yet? Or are you taking better care of yourself?
I do wear the same pair of sweatpants quite a few days in a row. Look, I'm not always on stream. I look good for you guys, but you only see what I let you see. There are some days when I wake up, I drink a bunch of coffee, I sit down, I just work, and I'm like, and then I go straight to sleep. It can happen. Yeah, I try not to do that because that's you start to get into like hermit territory. But yeah, I've done it before. It can happen. Yeah, it comes with the territory, but like I don't feel as good. Just like I feel like less of a person when I don't do the basic stuff, like when I don't just put on some regular clothes or like get ready for the day. That's the nice thing about that. Was something I actually missed about working in an office. When COVID happened, we all started working from home as software engineers, and I haven't been back to an office in a couple of years. And that's the thing that I miss. That's actually one thing that I think is really great about how you have a separate studio that you go to. Like you have this barrier in between you and the studio where you're like, I could get in the car in my pajamas and go to the studio in my pajamas, but I'm inevitably going to run into other people, you know, and like, I got to take photos for social media and you got to do blah, blah, blah. And so now you have, I think, what is it? 10 of the same priest shirt that you just kind of rotate through. I mean, it's dressing up, but you have, but you have, you know, you get ready for the day and you have like a look and you do that. And, you know, I try to make sure that I at least do that to myself so that I feel like I'm ready, and I kind of like fake the office environment for my own home office, you know? And that's good. And also you just feel better, you know, you wake up, you take a shower, you work out, you do the basic stuff. Just kind of keeps you in check, and, you know, then the day goes by and you don't think a lot about how, like at the end of the day, if I haven't showered, I'm still wearing the same sweatpants, wearing a, you know, and I smell terrible. I notice that at the end of the day, and I'm like, I'm such a piece of crap, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. So, you know, it's just good. It's a good mental exercise, I think. Especially, you know, as a dude who just works. I'm alone a lot. You know, I'm just working on videos and doing stuff. You just got to do that for yourself, you know? So
totally, dude. Yeah, I mean, I used to have my studio in my apartment before I moved it to the spot that it is now, right?
Yeah.
And so I totally recognize that feeling. One of the best things that you can do actually is to have a pet that needs to go outside. So you're forced to do exactly what you described, like look yourself, dress yourself up to look a little bit presentable, to go outside, to be able to walk the dog around the block so that he can do what he's got to do and stretch his legs and all that sort of stuff, and then go back inside. And that's like a nice little break from being a hermit.
Right.
That's what I used to have, actually. I used to have a dog, and then just like, oh crap, no, the dog needs to go out. I need to walk the dog. So I'd have that, like, all right, shower, shave my face, don't look completely disrespectful, and put some clothes on, and like, I can't wear the same thing, and to avoid that feeling of like, dude, you've literally not changed your shirt for 3 days. Come on, man.
Yeah, you're like, the dog doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. But it helps quite a bit, just like going through the motions of waking up and treating your job like a normal job, even if it's inside your house. It helps such a huge amount. That's why, like, a few times, particularly when COVID hit, right? So as I said before, most of my income comes from doing shows. When I didn't have shows, I was thinking, all right, what do I do now? Do I give up the studio, move everything back to the house, and save money, of course, but have everything back in the house? Or do I keep it where it is, dig deep, dig into the savings, and do other kinds of work so that I can kind of get by, like working for other people, tutorials, all that sort of stuff, and keep the studio where it is? And I did the latter, and it just, I don't know, it just feels a lot better to have that separation between work and home, and to feel like you're kind of human and not hermity and stuff. And like, the thing is here, like where my studio is at, it's still away from people, right? I'm not going to an office where I say hi to people. There's no water cooler. There's no nothing. So even today, right? You're the first person that I've spoken to today, besides my girlfriend in the apartment.
I'm flattered.
Yeah, right. And I've been in the studio for nearly 9 hours, right? So it's kind of weird, but I recognize that feeling of being alone, because the production journey is still alone. But still, going through the process of like having that separation just makes life a little bit, I don't know, feel a little bit more normal, which is really healthy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, dude.
What's
the chat saying, man?
Well, exactly. There's a couple of things I want to address here. So a couple of good questions. Let me just back up a little bit. So chat, I am watching. I am not ignoring you. We are just, we go deep sometimes. Sam and I have a lot of incredibly engaging conversation about all sorts of things. So sometimes I get sucked in. Okay, so first of all, there was a question about Attack on Titan. Am I going to Doomify something like that? First of all, addicted to the series every single Sunday, and the opening is sick. I think I'm going to stick with game covers for a while. Like, as you know, my ultimate goal is to sort of get connected with the folks that are doing things in the AAA game space and start composing for that. And if I start, I don't feel comfortable yet, I think, floating outside of the game realm. And there's so many. I have at this point probably thousands of suggestions in the list of possible covers for games specifically. So there's a lot to do. So I'm not going to run out of those for a while. I would love to do some of the other ones. And I think at some point it's just about choosing. It's all about time. I can only do a couple of months, so I think I'm sticking with games for now. But if there were more than one of me, I would absolutely do a lot of anime and there's some television and movie stuff. I'd love to. There's so many great songs out there that can do that need like a Doom makeover. I think it would be dope. Oh yeah, I also want to play Sifu. I want to play that game. It looks sick. Another question: favorite Doom song. Sam, what's your favorite Doom song from 2016?
That's tough, man.
It is a tough question, isn't it?
I really like. I don't know, because I'm sort of torn between the 2016 and Eternal.
Yeah.
Blood Harvesting is really cool. I think that one's in 5/4, so that one's really cool.
Yeah.
And then not Super Gore Nest. Of course, that's fantastic. But there's another track called Usurper Gore, which is basically like the Super Gore Nest combat music, but without the big riffs and everything. It's just like as it's building up, so it's kind of like medium combat music, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just like this simmering kind of thing. The whole track feels like it's simmering. So it doesn't explode into the big riff that everybody knows.
Yeah.
And I like that one a lot. That one's really cool. But I think Blood Harvest is pretty cool just because it sounds so crunchy. It feels like the cultist bass with the machines that are coming down and crushing stuff and blood going everywhere. It really feels like that level quite a bit. So that one's dope. But then at the same time, like Harbinger is pretty rad.
Yeah, that one's fun.
That one's dope. And then I think the one Doom score or piece of score that like hooked me onto the whole concept of Argent Metal is the one that it's from 2016, and it's the one that plays with the twin bosses, and the soundtrack on Spotify, it's called like Report something.
Oh,
like
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, what is happening to my ears?
Yeah.
What is
right?
going on? There's so many
cool.
different like modulations, the way that the whole track builds up and everything is just so cool. And it sounds like it's like a handful of instruments. It's just like maybe, I don't know, kick, bass, like distorted bass that gets run through its rig and whatever, and then a couple of other sounds. But it's not a very complex arrangement, and it's not a lot of sounds, but the sounds change quite a bit in like they modulate quite a bit, as opposed to something like Transistor Fist or The Only Thing They Fear Is You. Like right. They're very dynamic, right? Where this one's a little bit more static. It's just like constantly building and building with that same element.
Yeah.
And when I heard that and the crunch and the distortion in that, I was like, I need to know more about this. I need to get involved in this world. This is fantastic. Because I know everybody goes for the big ones, right? Like Neat Hook and The Only Thing They Fear Is You. And okay, not to take away from those are fantastic, but I think there's some gold in the other parts that people miss.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Particularly where I feel like there's more room for like production details in the stuff where there's less guitars and stuff going on, and that's where I feel like defines what Argent Metal is, right? Like the spaces in between the chogs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And all the so that's the stuff that got me on. So those tracks, I think.
Yeah, you got me thinking about how like I recently, and I don't know why I haven't done this yet. I only did this recently, but I unpacked all of the audio files from Doom and Doom Eternal. Like I finally got to listen to like what's in the game. You know, those like small clips that the game rippers and people like Coma and those guys like they all kind of like, you know, put the songs back together. And there's so much material in those that I had never heard before, as so many variations on even like the main ones. Like I was listening to Super Gore Nest, and like half of them were parts of Super Gore Nest that I've never heard before. And I was like, this is like, I'm my favorite song is going to change, because all of a sudden there's like, you know, only some of the songs got mixed for the soundtrack. And the possibility of how those could have been mixed is totally different. So like, you know, my producer brain is just like flipping out now. And I've been slowly kind of going through those and listening to all these things. And it's so interesting to hear stuff like that, because I think about it not just as listening material, but also as like workflow. Like, all of this had to get made in sessions, and there's a lot of like variation on the same things, and you can clearly hear how stuff gets reused from audio file to audio file. And it makes me realize it's almost like you're sort of peeking behind the curtain a little bit, because you get to hear all of the different pieces of a song, and then you hear them kind of like end and tail off, because when you put them into the game, you just define where it starts and ends so it can loop. But that's not how the file is. And you can hear these individual bits kind of as they relate to each other a lot better. And it's blowing my mind. Like I'm like learning what's possible in this sort of argent metal space as I listen to these pieces. And it's crazy. Like I don't have a great answer for what my favorite song is. It used to be some of the heavier bangers. I'm a huge, I really like Mastermind still from 2016.
Incredible.
Super Gore Nest still, I think, one of my favorites, but only because it's like not, like I did that Slipknot mashup, and it's like, well, as soon as I did that, I was like, that's why I like the song, because I like Slipknot, and it's pretty clear that that's like where some of the influence was. And Eternal is playing a bit more to an audience now that like it's understood like what was needed in the arcade space. I'm mostly just speaking as a listener. I don't have actual insight into a lot of this stuff, but Corpse Weed is here. Corpse Weed has done vocals on some of my songs. The Chippin' In remix way back in the day. That's him, and super talented dude, puts out a lot of sick metal, and he's local, lives pretty close to me actually, so go say hi to Corpse Weed, everybody. Also, I see Gaming Sandbox. I did an interview way back, like when one of my first couple of videos came out, and Odrin, that might be Odrin. Anyway, the founder of Gaming Sandbox did an interview, and was my interviewer. And they're doing some really great stuff, covering a lot of indie games and things like that. So say hi to Odrin. The couple of other questions in the chat I want to answer. Do I plan on making a Doom version of Animal Crossing? Maybe. Basically, that one video of Doomify everything. What's really funny about that video is I now have the stubs, like just these chunks of songs. And for Gangsta's Paradise, I took that chunk from that video, deleted all the other stuff, and then just extended it. I just like used the same tools and then like wrote more guitar parts. And it was pretty quick to actually put together. So because I know it's not a huge time investment, and technically they're already kind of mixed, I might extend a bunch of those over the, I don't know when or how. They are very like, these are kind of, they're funny-ish. Like I am trying to balance doing like ridiculous music and then like more serious, like thoughtful music. So, I'll find a way, but yeah, I mean, it's possible. All of those are a possibility. There's a bunch of others that are also like, I've gotten some really ridiculous requests, and some really funny stuff. I love memes so much. I don't think I could build a portfolio on it, but I would totally do those. I
would politely disagree, man. I think you could build a portfolio of memes.
As it came out of my mouth, I was like, yeah, I know.
You could totally do it.
Totally could. Let's see. AAA. Oh, yeah. What's the deal with like, do I only want to do AAA games? No. I mean, I want to do something that like can pay my rent is the point. Like I love passion projects are great. And a lot of these games are like, and a lot of games that have come out of nowhere with amazing music, they're small dev, small team stuff, and it's fine. I just have to like pick my battles with those. I have to have a lot of faith in the team and who's doing it. And I've seen some games, I'm talking with some folks who super small team, basically no budget. But I'm being blown away by the artwork and the concept and the sound design, the early ideas. And, it's stuff like that I'm willing to take, really to dive in on, because I know that I just have such confidence in those types of games. But I'm very, very, very picky with what those are, just because they're gigantic time investments. And Sam, I mean, we together, we chat with David Levy pretty often. And he talks a lot about what it's like to be actually doing those soundtracks. And he's working on some stuff now. He's doing a movie thing right now, but he has mentioned quite a bit how the time investment, like he's like, when I get a project, I have like no time, like zero time to do anything else, because the deadlines are crazy. So I have to think about that, you know, like there's a lot of things, like I want to continue to make music for YouTube. I want to make sure that I can address all of these requests and be active on social media and be active on Discord and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I as fun as it would be to get into a game and drop everything, I would need to just make sure that it's like a really good investment and I can deliver something and give it back to you and have just a little bit of time to kind of keep YouTube in the loop and do things like that. I don't want to, I would hate to completely abandon this just because like if id Software called me up and was like, do Doom, I would be like, totally, that would be sick. Hey guys, YouTube, I can't do a lot of videos. I'm working on Doom, but I'll do like some videos occasionally. And like, that would be, I think, the ideal state for me. But they'd have to be like very good investments of time. And I have to really believe in it. That's the only reason, you know, that's where I think AAA, when I say AAA, I mean like something that from a career standpoint is a bit more cut and dry. AAA is actually, like, if you think about it, it's super corporate, you know, like these companies are huge. They're like $100 million companies. And if you know anything about like working at a huge corporate, like it has the same corporate problems, I guess, and the corporate mindset. It's not as risky. It's got investors. It's a lot less like Wild West than indie, you know, and there's some guarantees, but that also makes like the journey a little bit harder, more difficult. There's less jobs in the AAA space. There's, the deadlines are really tight. You don't get a lot of chances to like try stuff, you know, it's got to work. And you hear a lot of the same stories. Most of the guys that I talk to, the different composers, have told similar stories about things like that. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, speaking of good soundtracks that are good gambles, Alex Rowe, I'm happy you're still in the chat. Alex just recently finished up a score for the game Grime, which is amazing. Both the score and the game itself. And that was a small team, if I remember. You might as well, if you can give some info about that. And the end result is absolutely fantastic. And that kind of stuff, that would be super fun to have opportunities like that. But again, like if you ask Alex, you know, what the deal was with time and all that stuff, maybe his story is similar. Maybe it's not. Maybe, but I assume, you know, it was a big project, heads down, get it done, got to get the game out, things like that. Don't work for Blizzard. Yeah, Blizzard, Activision having some trouble right now. Workplace, it is a workplace, and you got to be respectful. that's very important. Do I think David and Andrew will be back for the next Doom game? That's actually, so. What do you think, Sam? Like, I know that like it was a, like application. Like, do I think that if there was a Doom 3, or I guess it wouldn't be called Doom 3, but you know, another Doom installment, brand new game, do you think they would? What's that? More Doom? Doom again.
That's a really interesting question. I don't know. I do know that I've seen like a job advertisement for id that has mentioned Doom's gameplay mechanics specifically. So
yeah,
it seems like they're somewhere in their minds, they're gearing up to do a follow-up. Now, whether that's Doom or Quake, or maybe they start a new IP, I don't know. But whether they'll be back, that's an excellent question. I don't know. I want him back. Like I'm kind of cheering for him.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be cool to have Mick there as well, just because he really defined a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe if they're thinking far enough in advance and there's enough time, maybe it's time for some new blood to take the sound that has already been kind of established and to explore that in new directions.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just love that particular music style, so I'm just happy when more of it exists.
Yeah, for sure.
So whoever takes the reins, like obviously they've got a huge responsibility on their shoulders, because there's a lot of expectations now.
Right.
Like 2 games with incredible soundtracks. So whoever steps up to the plate has to really hit a home run.
Yeah.
There's less experimenting and less sort of like chance for missing now that there's all this heritage attached to the brand.
Yeah.
I would love to see like yourself or David step up and do more of that stuff. And I'd like to see what David could do if he had enough time. Because as
For
I
sure.
understand it, when him and Andrew got asked to do the DLC soundtrack, it was, I wouldn't say like a last minute decision, but the stuff had to be done quickly, and they didn't have the same level of breathing space
Yeah, yeah.
to explore and refine stuff to the same time period that Mick had. So I wonder what they would do if they had more time to prepare, and what the end result would be. I don't know. I just got a lot of questions. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
excited for more Doom
Yeah.
and more Doom music.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I'm seeing in chat right now talking about Quake. Probably, yeah, almost definitely going to be a Quake reboot of some sort.
I hope so, dude.
Coming,
I love
which
that.
will
I
be,
think that is probably the game that got me into game music specifically, right? So
was Quake.
I heard the soundtrack from Quake 3
So,
and from Sonic Mayhem,
yeah,
and what he did. And I was just like, dude, what is this? That was the first time that I heard guitars and electronic music mixed together.
Yeah.
And it was super cool, just the atmosphere of it, like the style of the game, and then just the atmosphere of Quake 1, how it looked and how it felt and everything. I was a wee lad. I didn't listen to the soundtrack because I acquired a copy from the 7 Seas.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift.
Oh yeah.
So it didn't come with the soundtrack, but what's it called? Yeah, like I would love to see Quake up and going. There's words, there's whispers. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, almost definitely going to happen. That makes sense.
Yeah,
crossed, and you know what they're going to do. It's so funny. Like when I was doing the Maker's Hand video and I was looking at like Rage 2 footage, and then I had also recently been playing Doom Eternal, and I all of a sudden when I realized that like the IPs were all part of kind of the same family, I was like, are they like taking their first person shooter engine and then just like churning out these like awesome mover shooter type games? Which makes me think like if they do Quake, what they're going to do is take Doom Eternal's setup and then they're going to like tweak a couple of things so that it fits a Quake aesthetic, and then it's just going to play like Doom, but it's Quake, and it's going to be the best thing ever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
They have a formula
now, because I felt like Doom Eternal like hit some of the same beats as what Quake did, like particularly like the like Taras Nabad, for example, like with all the gothic kind of buildings from the tribe of the Sentinels, all that sort of stuff. I'm like, this feels like Quake. And then with the meat hook, like there was a couple of mods in Quake 1 that gave you that kind of an ability, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, maybe we're already there.
Yeah, right. They're just
we
need
like, more tentacles.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine? They're like, all right, team, we're gonna make Doom Eternal, but we're also gonna make Quake later. So ideally, can we find a way to make stuff that like can be in both games so that we don't have to do hard work? That'd be sick. Like,
could you imagine that meeting?
Like the plot is exactly the same with like different character names and like different skins, and you're like, I think I'm just playing Doom Eternal again. I think they just got different voice actors.
Here's the question though: who would be mad?
Nobody. It would be amazing. Yeah, it would be so sick. And that's kind of, I mean, they know what we want, you know.
Totally, dude. Have you seen Shadow Warrior? The new trailer for Shadow Warrior?
Yeah, I've been seeing some trailers. I've never played a Shadow Warrior game. And then somebody explained, I saw the trailer, like a recent trailer, and they really leaned into like the kind of like the Borderlands style ridiculous humor. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Which I love. Those are like my favorite games. Just like super cheeky. I might check it out. It looks like it'll be cool. Have you played or seen anything about it?
I've just watched a couple of the trailers, but from what I understand, that it's running on the same id Tech engine that Doom Eternal was on.
Nice.
That's the only reason why I know it. Like back in the days, some friends of mine played Shadow Warrior, and they were like into that super lowbrow, over the top, stereotype kind of humor.
Yeah.
But I never played the games myself. I was busy playing Quake. I was busy playing Unreal.
Yeah.
But when I saw this come out, I was like, this looks really good. Really, really good.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous. It like same gameplay mechanics, I think, like with some of the same things like with your meat hook equivalent or whatever.
Yeah.
but it looks really, really fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, chat. Yes, I have heard of Atomic Heart, and somebody, was it Chris? There's an Argent Metal producer, a YouTube guy, who remade the trailer music like within a day or two of it coming out.
Damn.
So, yeah, that's first of all, that's quick. That's pure dedication. And sounds good. And I'm excited to try the game. It's awesome. Like it seems like it had been a long time coming. You know, we were talking about how, you know, Mick was doing tweets and stuff in Russian and stuff, and it's like, well, that's because of the game. And now it's finally happening. Really excited to see what that's about. Obviously, the soundtrack is going to be unbelievable, but no idea what to expect because you know that he'll take everything from zero and create a whole new setup, and it's inspired by totally different stuff to fit the game, because that's his thing. It's like to fit the game world exactly as it's intended, and you know, it's probably not going to be 40 minutes of blistering guitar this time, which is fine. You know, I think it's going to be awesome. And the game itself looks really interesting. Although it reminds me of maybe a movie that I've seen before, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
It feels very steampunky.
It does feel steampunky, which I do like.
Oh, dude, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I'm really curious.
You ever play Dishonored?
No, I tried to give it a go.
Oh, that game's so much fun.
Dishonored 2, and I just couldn't get into it. I think I was playing too much Destiny at the time, and it wasn't Destiny. So I was like,
oh, totally fair.
I'm sorry, it's not Destiny. I'm going back to Destiny.
Yep. I know how you feel. I haven't played Destiny at all, but I keep like putting my finger over the button. It's that, and there's a space game, not Everspace. What is that called? There's it's like a massive multiplayer game where you fly around in spaceships all the time, and it has this like amazing YouTube footage people like share and stuff, and it's supposedly like very chill. Can't remember what it's called, but oh hey, Keena's here. What's up, Keena? As you know, Keena does all the art for the thumbnails, and she's super duper talented. And make sure you say nice things and follow her stuff. If you haven't followed her on Instagram or Twitter, probably Instagram, I assume, is the best place. You can put a link, but follow her social media, because she's putting more than just our YouTube thumbnail stuff out on there. She does other things too, commissions, things like that. So Elite Dangerous, that's what it was called, and not Star Citizen. Yeah. Star Citizen, I'm so afraid of it. Like, it looks really cool, but it has that like, oh no, it's too hyped feeling. I haven't checked it out. It had that issue with like, and No Man's Sky actually, they recently just updated No Man's Sky. Again, I almost bought No Man's Sky, and I didn't do it. And this was like right when everybody was like, what is this crap? And then they all got refunded. But they've recently, it's turned into a game that looks like it's actually fun. So maybe I'll finally buy it. It's that, and like, I've been waiting on Cyberpunk because I really want like all the bugs and stuff to get fixed. And, you know, because the game's not a bad game. It's just that everybody like has these game breaking experiences that they hate. So, you know, I just want everything to like, kind of like The Witcher. Like The Witcher 3 was one of those where it came out, same company, unsurprisingly, came out really buggy, really weird. I didn't play it for like maybe 2 years. And then a couple of years later, after all the DLCs came out, it was all patched. And I finally played it, and I had no bugs, and it was the best game I've ever played in my whole life. So I'm praying that Cyberpunk can become that game someday. And the only reason I'm not starting Elite Dangerous is because I want to continue doing YouTube, and if I play Elite Dangerous, you'll never see me again. So I have to pick my battles with games. I get sucked in. I'm doing a Skyrim thing right now. I almost got sucked into Skyrim because I made... you're going to see it in the video. I made a really interesting mod, or collection of mods, you can say. And it's so much fun to play that I like wasted an entire day pulling footage because I couldn't stop playing. And then now I'm like a little behind. Like, this actually happened. But what's great about it is the video footage. You're going to be like, dude, this is how Skyrim was meant to be played. Like, it's just so much more fun. It's mental. It's completely mental with what I changed in that game. And this is Skyrim. This is not special edition. This is like old vanilla Skyrim. It's so blocky. It's great. Yeah, so that's going to be good. Yeah, seems like we got a couple of No Man's Sky players in here.
I bought it right when it came out, because I was curious about it. I like the idea of the procedural generation stuff.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to explore for a little bit, but then this was really early on when it was still the game that everybody hated rather than the game that everybody celebrated. And so I just got a little bit tired of it. But
Yeah.
there's a couple of funky little exploits to get ridiculous amounts of money. Like you could get to some certain worlds and like harvest certain pearls and then sell them and just collect them and sell them and collect them and sell them. And at that point, I'm like, I've got too much money. I don't know what to do anymore in this game. And like, I'm out, and I haven't touched it since.
Right. Yeah. Well, just check it out now. That brand new update looks cool. Base building.
I know, but you know what it's like? Here's the thing about like being interested in game music and then being a musician and having like only so much time.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, dude.
It's
like,
true.
I'm like, oh,
I don't have enough time.
Exactly. Like I said before, big Destiny player, love it. The new update is going to drop next week, which looks fantastic. It's going to be tying up so many bits of story that have been like, simmering for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, maybe I should get back into it. Maybe, but I know myself, dude. I will lose a month, just completely gone, playing it constantly. Oh God, I want to, but I can't. I'll just watch it on YouTube. I'll watch from a distance.
Exactly.
And just get my love and fix from there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I have to tell people, there's some of my friends are so sad when they're like, have you played X game? And I'm like, I watched a 3-hour playthrough on YouTube. They're like, dude, I'm like, that's all I can do. Like, I really can't afford to play for 60 hours. Like, that's a whole week. You know what I mean? Like, that's nonstop. That's more than a work week for some of these games. And that's the unfortunate truth about a lot of the videos and stuff that I make is like, some of them I've played, many of them I haven't. But I do like watch them all. Like, I like the games, and a lot of them are like sitting on my Steam wish list, and they're just sitting there. And I'm like, one day I'll be able to play you. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, deep down, you talk about like a career in music. I think that there's like a couple of levels. Like, first is like, I want a career in music because it's like fun to interact with lots of different people who listen to my music. But the next level is like, I hear that some people in music get so famous they never have to work again, so I can finally play all the games in my Steam library. That's what that's what I really want. I just want to play all the games.
That's right there.
I just got to get through them. My friend sent me a picture of his, maybe it was the Epic Games library, because they give a lot of free games away. Speaking of which, it's Thursday, so they probably have a new free game. And he showed me the list. He's like, here's all the games I have installed from Epic. And he's like, I have played 2 of them. And there was like 40 games. And I was like, are you going to play the games? He's like, no. I'm like, why not uninstall them? He's like, maybe. Like, you're not, dude.
I might play it.
Yeah, you might. That's it. You know? And that's how I feel too, is like, I feel like it's so much easier. And I'm going to do it today. Like, after the stream, I'm going to go on Epic Games. Actually, you guys can't see my computer screen. I'm going to check right now. I want to see what game is free. And I'm probably going to get it. And I'm never going to play it. But it's cool to have in my library, which I do constantly on Steam. It says, I don't think Epic understands what mistake they have made by giving away such free games, because it's just adding to everyone's anxiety. Windblown. I don't know Windblown. Windbound? Not Windblown. Windbound.
You're about to get it.
Moana simulator. It kind of looks like it, actually. It's like you're on a boat. You ever played Zelda Wind Waker? The old GameCube game?
I wanted to, man. You know what? I skipped the GameCube generation. I think I here we go. This is going to show my age a little bit. I stopped after Nintendo 64 and just like, I stopped gaming for a bit, then started PC gaming, and then was on PlayStation, and then went back to PC. But in between Wind Walker and all the way up to, well, now the Switch, I was like, I can't, man. Otherwise, just time disappears.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to, though. Like, all the Zelda games look fantastic. And the way that I swear there's some evil geniuses, man. They must employ like an army of psychologists to be able to really dive into people's souls and like twist their hearts, because all the Zelda games just grab you.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can get back on it. Breath of the Wild 2's coming. That's going to be a fun one. I played the first one. And also like Wind Waker came out, I think I remember playing it, and I was in middle school. So, like, neither of us had a career in music then, I'm pretty sure. Unless you were, like, playing festivals when you were 12 years old. But the you never know though. Maybe it's different in Australia.
The stranger things have happened.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, the Breath of the Wild 2's coming, and then I also, and I think some of you in chat are gonna be happy to hear this, but I really, really want to do a Zelda song. I want to cover something, but I haven't decided what, because although I put a picture of, I think it was Breath of the Wild, on my schedule, that's not necessarily the Zelda game realm that I have to pick. I just kind of wanted to show Zelda, you know what I mean? I wanted to show something from the Zelda game. So send me your thoughts. Let's figure out at some point what that Zelda song. I'm going to pick like one or maybe a medley of a couple. I don't really know.
If you do something with the ocarina, maybe what you could do is replace the ocarina with a Kangling, and that would make it Doom.
It could, yeah. We could just swap out, pick individual instruments and just swap them out. Do I know what that sounds like? A Kangling? I don't know.
It sounds like it sounds like a. It's actually it sounds like a horn, like a deer horn, or buffalo horn.
That's not the that's not like the skull horn, is it?
No,
like
that's
Kangling.
Oh, if you mean skull horn from like an actual animal?
No, because that's
like the Aztec death whistle.
Like the death whistle.
Yeah, no. It sounds more like a smaller version of like your, I guess if you've ever watched like a movie that's like back in the Greek warrior days kind of thing, and you hear one of those like ooh kind of things. A Kangling sounds a little bit like that.
Yeah,
but a smaller version.
I don't know if you guys can see my phone, but Kangling. Hold on, it's not real time. Kangling. I have never. First of all, it looks ridiculous. It's like it's a bone. This is like a femur.
Yeah. That's in which ones of the Doom Eternal score? Like the background music for when you're in like Taurus Nabad and the other Sentinel levels, when there's like the more ambient stuff and you hear this like horn call. I'm pretty sure the Kangling's used in that one.
Oh yeah, I'm reading human femur bone. Well, that's metal. That's metal as shit.
There you go.
Could definitely let me see if I can find a human femur bone kicking around. I'll go make a trumpet out of it. I'm sure I could order one of these. Like they're not amazingly hard to find, and I'm sure they're not all real. Like I don't need it to be a real actual human bone. I just need it to be in the bone shape to sound pretty solid.
It'd be more Doom if it was, dude.
It was, but
metal.
That's a person with a name, Sam. Like, I mean, how do you sign up for that?
Anymore.
First of all, yeah. Well, yeah. Like, it's like, where do they get them? That's the thing that I want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to Guitar Center and you get like 4 of them hanging up. I'm like, that's 2 people worth of leg bone. Like, where did you get those? That's the only thing that freaks me out. That's like. That's like shrunken heads. Like when people are like, "Oh, it's like a real shrunken head," I'm like, "That was a human being. Where did you get that? You know? And who was it?
Why do you have such steady supply?"
Yeah, exactly. Why are there so many? Right? Seriously, yeah. You go to Amazon and it's like only 20 left, and you're like 20. That's a classroom full of people. Like Jesus. Exactly. It's so weird. I don't like it. It gross me out. But it's metal. It's super metal.
Yeah, dude. So if you took like one of the classic like ocarina songs and then like redid it through a Kangling, that's you're already a step in the right direction.
Nice.
For doomifying Zelda.
Yeah. Oh man. I should start collecting some weird instruments. After doing like some of the found sound stuff, because I'm going to get bored at some point after recording all of the things in my house, and I did like the kitchen stuff, and just going around and taking the Zoom. For those of you who don't know, I have a little recorder here. This guy, it's a portable recording device. It's got 2 little microphones on the top, and it's got some inputs on the bottom, and you just take it anywhere you want, and you can record high quality audio, with the onboard mics or with your own little microphone, and I can use that to record all the things in my house. But at some point, I'm gonna get bored doing that. Like I'll be like, okay, I recorded every sound in the world. I need to order some instruments now, some weird stuff. And I feel like at that moment it's going to be perfect. I'll get it, like all of the contact libraries that I have from like the world instruments. I'll be like, can I get those for real now? Like there's this really cool, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a bunch of metal cylinders all kind of stuck together. I think it starts with a B, and you rotate it and it makes this like really grindy, like kind of sound. I want to get one of those for real. I don't even know.
Oh, dude, that's cool.
Yeah, those, you can make some really neat like ambient texture stuff. All of the metal things. Like, you know what I need to buy? I don't know if you've done this yet, but get a bunch of cheap violin bows so that I can like pull like a Jason Graves and just like violin bow anything that I find and see what it sounds
I've got
like.
one right here.
You have one?
Yeah. For that same reason. Hang on, let's see if I can.
So jealous.
I can bow the 8 string.
You're gonna I thought about doing that for the Skyrim cover. I just know what it'll sound like. It's not what I think I need to do. You're gonna do it right now?
Yeah. Hang on a sec.
All right. Let's hear this.
I'm gonna get quite a bit
Presenting
of
to you, chat, an 8-string guitar with a violin bow. I assume not plugged in. Whoa.
That's about as good as I can do now. There's all this rosin on the string. But,
yeah, seriously. Well, that actually, and that's just raw, right? There's no amp or anything?
No. It's just my phone straight up to the string.
That already sounds really cool. Sounds like kind of like a cello at that point.
Right? Yeah, that's the interesting thing. It kind of blew my mind. The first time I did it, like there's a broken bass at the back of my studio. And then when I was doing it, I'm like, dude, this actually, am I playing a fretted cello? Is that what's going on right now?
Yeah, right. That sounds neat. I mean, right, because at that point you get the strings. Have you done it with the bass guitar too?
I just like playing around. I haven't recorded it properly yet. I wanted to see if it could work first before I actually set up and record everything first. But I tried a little bit, and it's pretty cool, man. Like I have to admit, like bowing stuff is really unique.
Yeah.
Super cool. Then the next step is like getting some really cool tools to like granularize and turn all those weird recordings into cool droney things or
right.
other sound effects and everything. But yeah, bowing all the things, very fun.
Seeing a lot of people saying it sounds like a didgeridoo or throat sing. Kind of does. It's got that maw sound. One of the guys, Hiccups, right? 99 Hiccups. You were doing some throat singing recently, which is super cool. Like, and also Mick talks about it a little bit, and you can hear it in the Doom Eternal soundtrack. A couple of like, the open, kind of the in the earlier game, you can hear it, and man, that skill, you can make just some cool sounds with that. I tried it a little bit. It's so weird. I think Hiccups can write some more about it, but he said or they said it sounded like singing like a high note, but you're not, and you're using like a different part of your vocal cords, and it ends up actually sounding super low, which I tried it completely confused me. It feels like trying to write with your opposite hand. Like it's just super weird. But man, that sounds so cool. Like, and people who do like beatboxing and other sort of like mouth sound design stuff in general, they blow my mind. My brother was a singer in an a cappella group in college, and there's a lot of beatboxing, and then like you do like the dubstep sounds, and you know what I'm talking about, like I want to try to do it, but I don't want to embarrass myself. It's like
the thing that gets me is how they can do like two sounds at the same time, like where they do like a snare and the dubstep sound in the same breath. I'm like, how?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're like, where is the air going? Like the it's like, there's a term for it where a horn player or a reed player can play a note infinitely. You know what that's
circular
called?
breathing.
Yeah,
circular breathing.
That is so cool. And also when I learned that you're just putting air in your mouth, I was like, okay, it's like they're not growing gills or anything weird. Like like that's a very human thing, but it's good timing, right? You're sucking in air while you're blowing air out through your mouth that you've stored up, kind of like a chipmunk. and then like as soon as like you run out of that, then you blow actual air out, and then etc. It's very probably takes a lot of practice. The French inhale. Yeah. What the French inhale is just an exhale. I don't know. Hey. Well, maybe we'll get. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. Hey. I'm gonna address it right now, on stream, but I thought about this, about having multiple people in the call, and then I realized that like you have to like change. Discord does not make this easy. I didn't think about this. I kind of just thought about, would it be cool? Would I even be able to have a phone call while we talk? And then Sam was around and he's like, I'll call. And I'm like, okay. So that worked. I don't know if I can switch it up now, but
that's cool,
another
man.
time.
Like if you don't mind, like it's 11 p.m. here, and at some point I have to dip. So to give your viewers a break from my nasally Aussie accent, I might dip, and then it should make life easier for you for the rest of the stream.
Okay, well, we're only on. I'm only on for a few more minutes, but let me. Yeah, how about this? I'm just responding. Okay, let's switch it up a little bit. And Sam, it was a pleasure. Thank you for. We always have an enlightening conversation, no matter where it is, whether or not it's in front of multiple people online or just chatting regular on the internet. Thanks so much, dude.
Absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me. And once again, congratulations on reaching 100K subscribers.
I appreciate it, man. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, ciao. Bye.
Yeah, Sam's cool, huh? Yeah, he's a good dude. We're buds. And it's funny because I didn't really have a plan for us talking. Didn't know if he was going to be here for 5 minutes or 5 hours, but either way is good with me. Oh my God. And you guys are actually going to hear another voice in a minute. I'm really only going to be on stream for, I don't know, maybe another 10 minutes or so. Time goes by fast though, but I'm going to take one more phone call with somebody, a patron and also a very talented individual who has a lot of knowledge and insight into some pretty fun, nerdy things, who is about to take a call, I think, in his pantry because the walls are so thin in his house. The Gangster's Paradise cover is going to be on Spotify, what is it, Wednesday? Tomorrow. I scheduled that ahead of time, not knowing exactly when I was going to hit 100,000, but I was like, maybe in a couple of weeks, so I scheduled it a little while ago. But it all kind of worked out, timing worked out, so you will see that. The pre-save link is in the pinned comment of the video. Let's see what else is going on. Good night, Quister. I think for a lot of you it's late. This is part of why I did the stream when I did, kind of try to balance states in Europe and elsewhere. It's tough. Timing is tough. It's late in some places and early in others. And I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Boston, United States. So it is 5 p.m. here. It's like a kind of a weird in between. People are just getting off work now. And then everybody in Europe's going to sleep. And then a lot of people on the West Coast, like I think Kina is, it's like the middle of the afternoon over there. So everybody's kind of all over the place. For sure. Really, all right, next time I do a stream, I'm going to figure out doing the music the right way. So I set this whole playlist up, and then it just didn't work. I swear there's some good music on there. And actually what we're going to be doing is very shortly after this next video, so in a couple of days, I'm also going to publish a Spotify playlist, which includes a ton of music from the patrons. A lot of guys, in the Discord. A lot of really talented folks. And I was trying to play some of it today, but it kind of didn't really work out. But here he is. Hey, can you hear me all right?
Hello.
Hello. This is Mario, everybody. Mario, do you want me to introduce you, or do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's the EvilDragon.
Mario the EvilDragon. So Mario is a bit infamous in the contact instrument scene, and you do actually you do contract work for Native Instruments.
Yes, I've been working with Native Instruments for the last 2.5 years under a freelance contract, but it's kind of recurring. I'm basically full-time without a proper full-time contract, because that would require me to move to Berlin or something.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, they got offices out there too. That's cool.
Yeah, they have offices in like Berlin, LA, London, Shenzhen, Tokyo.
Yeah, the EvilDragon. Yeah, the EvilDragon. It's so funny. Like, I remember, like way earlier before the Patreon stuff got started, I was looking through comments on my videos, and I would see EvilDragon and his profile picture pretty often, like, you know, every video basically, and it stuck out to me. You know, not only the name, but also you know, you have very long hair in the photo, although I don't know, you don't have long hair now, right?
I haven't had long hair for a decade now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small avatar, but you can kind of see it's pretty shit.
Yeah, it's all right. It's very.
You
look like you breathe heavy metal in that picture.
Yeah, that's because it was actually taken while I was in a band.
Nice. Yeah. So very bandy photo. So I saw the profile picture a lot, and then I was on this forum called VI Control, which is a pretty common place for composers to chat, and it's been around for a long time. And I had left a post on there, and then I saw EvilDragon responding to stuff, and I was like, the same EvilDragon? And I like went back into the comments, and I was like, the same EvilDragon. So I reached out. I was like, hey man, are you the guy from my YouTube comments? And he's like, yeah. And then we like started talking, and then we you know, he's like, oh, I do a lot of like Native Instrument stuff. And I was like, oh, well, I'm working on some contact stuff. So like we started chatting about that, and then I started up the Discord, and he jumps in. He's a great addition to the Discord. Extremely knowledgeable. Like it seems like you have used every piece of music technology on the planet, which is really amazing. And so I find your opinions extremely valuable. And the information you share. I learned a ton from Mario.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more about sharing information rather than... I mean, I'm gonna share opinions, but you know what they say about opinions and assholes. We all have one.
What do they say, Mario?
Yeah, everybody has one.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can, like, one of my famous opinions is like I just don't like Apple and Mac, so you get that a lot from me, but it's more in good spirits. I mean, use whatever you want to get the results you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can just appreciate the awesomeness that I can run software from 1997 on Windows 10
right.
without emulation.
Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, so you and you have a pretty cool setup at home, right? Like you showed some pictures of like your desk, music setup.
I am trying.
Yeah.
But I'm still not there. I haven't seen what Audiofreq's setup is, but it's probably awesome beyond belief. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually, we are renovating a house. I think I mentioned that at some point in our chats. Hopefully, like, if everything goes well, we might even start moving closer to Easter. That would be cool. So kind of 2 months away or so.
Yeah, and then you can get
at
that.
Any rate, I would totally love to celebrate my birthday in the house, and that's mid-May.
Yeah,
May 16th.
It's coming up.
But yeah, once we move, I'm gonna have quite a bit more space for my shenanigans, because my setup is in the living room currently, and having a 4-year-old running around each and every day makes work really, really difficult.
Yeah,
But
I can imagine.
mean, I love him dearly, so you can't really do anything about it. You can
Yeah.
just grin and bear it.
It'll be nice to have a separate space. Actually, this is a great question for you. I see a chat question. I think this has actually come up a couple of times. I want to address it. And I know you have thoughts about this, but what is your dream guitar is the question. And
my dream guitar.
Yeah, have you thought about that?
Great question.
Or like one you've been looking at, but you're like, I don't know if I want to buy it yet.
So I'm actually getting quite interested into those Aristides guitars.
Yeah.
But
super cool, huh?
I mean, when I saw like Pain of Salvation live and they're using mayonnaise. Sorry, right. Mayonnaise. Or not mayonnaise.
Just a bunch of mayo.
Yeah, I mean those guitars are just awesome, but really expensive.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I actually know a guy who makes guitars, who lives like in the vicinity of Zagreb, so kind of like 320 kilometers away from me.
Yeah.
And I kind of befriended him, so he might even do my bidding at some point.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But like for money, right? Like you're not gonna get a free guitar.
I mean, not for free. It doesn't have to be for free, but it's not gonna be $4,000 mayonnaise.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, that's like there's so much guitar porn out there now, and there's so many like amazing luthiers that make like, I mean, but every single one of these guitars is like $6,000 or something crazy. And like even the Aristides guitars are like they're sort of like pseudo factory, like they're clearly molded. They have these kind of like, you know, they have these makes, and then you get certain parts customized.
Yeah, but they're molded for a reason, and that makes sense for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not they're not like extremely, it brings the price down basically a little bit.
Yeah,
but they're still technically custom.
I did play a Petrucci signature at one point.
Oh yeah,
like
a Music Man?
That thing did play like butter. Yeah, so with proper setup, I guess any guitar can probably be like that. But I mean, the man knows what he wants. So it was really great. Also, I was pretty surprised with some of the lower end PRS models, like SE series.
Yeah, like you thought they were nice.
Those also play really. Yeah, they were pretty nice and very light.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're doing, because I thought like lighter guitar, probably less sustained, but nah, they're making it somehow.
Yeah, PRS is super nice, and also like as a big Periphery fan, the Mark Holcomb PRS, I got a chance to play one of the lower end ones, which was solid, but I think his top tier PRS signatures is where it's at. I really want to try one of those at least, because I know it'll be as a metal guitar, it's going to be solid. That and the Ibanez, I almost bought. I only got the pickups, the Titan pickups, but I almost bought the Ibanez Jake Bowen Titan guitar, because that thing I
never saw that one.
Oh my god! Well, it just looks slick. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll play slick. Ibanez is weird. They have this weird kind of quality gap where like sometimes they're amazing and sometimes they feel like cheap pieces of plastic, and I don't know why.
That's what you get when you have a huge factory and a bunch of models.
Yeah, so I would have to actually play one of those. But again, like kind of like the Petrucci.
But if you go with their custom shop, of course it's gonna be awesome.
Right, that's the thing. It's like the high end is probably where it's at if I was to get. And that's like, this is for like if I had infinite money and I could buy any guitar in the world. Oh, that's funny. Somebody in the chat, of course, was saying about the Hydra, the Steve Vai Hydra, his like absolutely insane, stupid guitar. There was a video for it. I mean, I think there's some sort of NFT thing going on with it too, which I just don't care about.
Oh, don't get me started on NFTs.
I mean, that's for a different live stream. That's not for this one.
Make this chat.
That is a whole different situation. But the guitar itself it's you guys, you all know what the Hydra is, right? Like you guys in chat have seen this, the Steve Vai Hydra, because it's not a practical guitar. It looks, if you're lazy and you don't want to Google it, I'll just get it on my phone.
I'm gonna Google it actually.
Oh my god, this thing is unbelievable.
Oh,
and it's right up his
right.
like it's
So
exactly
he
it
got
is.
some clues from Michelangelo Batio.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's like it's a guitar that says Steve Vai made this. Like it's not. I took one look at it and I was like, this is a Steve Vai guitar. This is the Hydra. Let's see if
Man,
this
it's
shows
insane.
up. Oh my god.
So yeah,
So
I mean,
unbelievable.
my dream guitar. I don't even know
Look at
what
this.
I want. That's the
What is
biggest
that?
problem. I do want to have like a flexible setup regarding pickups and pickup switching.
Yeah.
But I hate the Strat 5-position pickup. I mean, how can you get to position 2 and 4 in the middle of playing like at a flick of wrist? That's something that doesn't compute for me.
Yeah. Like jumping and switching pickups while you're playing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
So it would have to be a 3-position switch. And also, I'm a pretty huge Brian May fan, and he has just 6 on-off switches on his guitar, and works for him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's also a clue.
Maybe. It's just a...
And I am a pretty big fan of Fishman Fluence pickups because they're so flexible and smooth, and like they sound very even across the fretboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
really
if
haven't tried
did you ever try a guitar with them?
I don't think I've ever played Fishman Fluence.
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah. I should really just walk
Like,
down. I know they have them at the
try
guitar
it.
store.
So that they have a pretty good spread of pickups. I actually have their Strat replacement set in my Chinese Malmsteen Strat copy.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like Malmsteen's guitar, of course, because they made a more generic Strat plus Texas Overwand combination. I mean, it works really great.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure my dream guitar is gonna have Fishman's on it, and I'm thinking it's probably gonna be a 7-string guitar.
Hey,
I already have an 8-string, so that's enough for me. I have another 7-string, which is a Schecter Damien 7 Elite, one of the older models, but that one has actually 2 issues.
Yeah.
One of them is that the neck profile is a bit too thick.
It's just
So
it's
like,
way too big for your
if you
hand.
do stretches, it kind of it hurts a bit. And it
big.
has 24 frets. It has 24 frets, but fret access to 24th is not very good.
Yeah. I've had the same issue. I used to have a Schecter Damien. I think it was a 6 though. I had the exact same problem.
Yeah.
I thought it was big. It was heavy too.
I mean, I like it. I mean, it sounds great. It has EMGs on it, and it definitely sounds totally different.
Does yours have
very angry sounding guitar?
Yeah. Does yours have bats on it? Is it one of those?
No, it's not bats. It has Gothic crosses.
Oh, okay. I know exactly what model you're talking about. Yeah, mine. I've played that one before.
It's red.
Red, yeah. I was gonna say
red
they came in like some really bold
quilted
colors, like white.
Quilted top.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for quilted tops.
Oh, yeah, so nice. Yeah. All right, Alex. Take it easy. I'm also wrapping this up in a minute anyway, so it's good timing.
Yep. Should have moved rooms earlier, but
it's all good, man.
Didn't want to cramp Sam's style.
Yeah, I think it's so funny how you're.
It was nice joining, and of course, since I'm able to do it like direct, like man, really congrats on 100K.
I really appreciate it, man, and thank you. I mean, like as I was saying before, this is a team game, and I have learned a lot from like yours and many of the patrons and many of the fans, like all of this information and learning and all these new ideas and ways of thinking. Like I'm growing as an artist at the exact same time. So like, yeah, I gotta say thank you back.
I'm honored to see you grow as well. I actually tried to figure out when was the exact moment that I subscribed to your channel. Like how many subs did you have back then? Was it less than 20K?
It was not a lot. Yeah. It was very early
Maybe
on.
it was like 5 or 6K. I don't know when you started the Patreon thing, but it was before that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a long time ago. You were looking at some of the Final Fantasy stuff too. Like it was way back.
Yes, way back. Maybe that was the first video, something from Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I would have to go through YouTube history to know for sure which one was the first one. But yeah, being following you all this time was like tremendously honoring for me. And yeah, man, let's get that contact library out sometime.
Oh yeah. Well, I gotta get started on that. That's a little. Some of you know this already, but I'm after since the Argent compressor has already come out. My next project is a contact library, which is called Argent Power Tools, and it is taking that like lawnmower thing and dialing it up to some. I'm going pretty crazy with the possibilities of sound with this thing, so it'll be fun. And Mario is helping as an expert in contact script writing and development. I think it's going to be really fun. So you're going to see some updates on that as soon as I have them, and I have a fire under my butt right now to get this thing kind of back on track. So before the end of the month, I'm going to be seeing some pieces of that come together, which doesn't leave a lot of time because it's a short month, but it is what it is. So yeah, and really, again, Mario, thank you so much for being willing to help with that, because despite having a past in software engineering, I do not know how to do this. This is a very different beast, and it's great to have an expert on board.
You're gonna figure it out. It's not that difficult, but yeah, whenever you need some help, you can just ask directly instead of trying to rummage through all the posts online, because that's not very organized.
No, it's time consuming for sure. Okay, y'all, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you all. I hope that you took something interesting away from this chat as I conversed with my fellow folks in music. Saw a lot of familiar faces, seeing a lot of new faces. I can't thank you enough for this entire... It's only been like 12 or 14 months since everything really grew. I never expected 100,000 subscribers. Like, that's crazy. It's so crazy to see a number like that. But there's so much more to come.
150K is next one, baby.
Oh man, who knows? We'll see what tips it over. Yeah, all it takes is one good Doom meme, just one, a single Doom meme. That's the law of YouTube. But we'll see what happens.
I'm actually wondering how far can this Argent metal thing take you? I mean, at some point, it's probably gonna hit saturation point.
Yeah, I think
pun intended.
I don't actually expect. This is already much farther than I expected it to go. I don't think it's gonna grow. Like, I think that people need to, like, we're getting into like people discovering this for the first time type of territory now, and that's a whole different beast, you know. Like, and I'm not interested in doing some weird stuff like covering like every new pop song that comes out. Like, we're not playing that game. Like, let's make it real and honest and focus on the stuff that we like, and you know, and keep it in games too. Like, this is something that, and you know, like, I'm a metal guy, I'm an electronic guy. I like doing weird stuff. I like trying things that are a little bit out there and experimental, and I want to keep doing that. And I hope that all of you like when I do that and continue to do that. So, you know, that's where I'm going to go. And, you know, I'm going to cover stuff and make more original songs and make tools, because I love making tools to be able to continue, like, to make things that I do manually easier. That's actually one of the best parts about it.
I think you need another suggestion from Mick. Like, the crazy train thing was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, right. Yeah, who knows? You know, that's a thing that might happen, it might not happen, but you never know. But either way, it'll be fun. There's a lot to do. I'm not short on video ideas and stuff. So you know, we're just a lot more where that came from. But anyway, I gotta run.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mario. You're the man.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to all of you later. Have a good day or night, whatever you are.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.